Hi everyone, today I'm going to be going over my version of Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. I've had a few questions on this one because much like the other acoustic covers I do, they're mostly band numbers, and I do a lot to kind of compensate for the fact that I'm just playing by myself when I'm doing solo gigs. And I always want to try and adapt it and make it kind of sound as big as possible when I'm playing by myself. So first I'll go over all the chords I'm using in the song, just like my other tutorials, and then I'll go over the rhythm. Because there's a lot of kind of tricky stuff I'm doing with the right hand in this one, because it's a big song and it's a very dense mix. There's lots of instrumentation going on, so I'm kind of trying to adapt for the really strong backbeat and like a lot of that kind of shuffle kind of movement that's going on the drums and stuff like that. So first of all, the original key of the song is kind of like in between two keys. I don't know why, they probably sped it up or slowed it down just for stylistic purposes. It was probably dragging too much, or it was just feeling too rushed, so they probably just changed the tape speed a little bit so that they could so they could get that kind of middle ground. And it clearly worked out, because it's like one of the best pop songs ever written and released. It's an incredible sounding record. So for the sake of simplicity, I do my version in D, and then I have drop D on the E string. So it's all standard apart from that low E string, which I've dropped down to a drop D. So at the very top of the song, I'm playing that riff that takes us into the song, and I'm playing it up here. I'm just playing like a D triad, so like that, with the D in the bass as well. And then of course I'm playing that sixth, which is that B note. And I'm going back between, rocking back and forwards between those two notes. So there's a little bit of movement going on that chord, and then the rest of the chords are actually fairly simple. As with most of my acoustic covers, I feel like the chords are really simple, but it's all kind of right-hand stuff that makes it sound really complex. So the two chords I'm playing in the verses are basically an A over a D, and then a G over a D. And then I'm rocking back between those two. I know the bass is doing some other things on the original. I've only had this in my set for a few months. Maybe one day I'll figure out a way to put all the bass lines in there and things. But right now, I kind of just have that D rocking in the bass and going back between the A and the G. So it's just those two. And then in the bridge section, when it's kind of climbing up, they're just sequential chords within the scale, so they're just diatonic to the scale. We've got E minor, but of course I'm playing the second fret on the E string to compensate for the fact we're in drop D, so I'm playing that E note on the second fret. And then there's an F sharp minor. Sorry, I've got a bit of a buzzy fret on my guitar. So once again, I'm compensating for being in drop D, so I've got that F sharp in the bass on the 4th fret of the E string. And then we've got to go up to a G, and again, compensating, we've got to play that note, that bass note, two frets higher, so one step. So that's our G major, and then the same shape again for the A major. So that's the only chords in that section. You've got the E minor, then F sharp minor, and then G major. And then it goes back to the F sharp minor, and then back to the E minor, and then it just climbs up. Got that G, A, and that takes us back to the verse section. So those two chords, the A and the G. In the next section, they've got another extra chord, but it's just a different voicing of a D, basically, and I'm playing like a C shape to get that, so I can stay in the same area of the fretboard. So we've got that G, and then we've got a D, but using like a C cage shape, and then A, and then back down to that G. So that's that middle section to the tune. And that's essentially all the chords that I'm playing in my version anyway. There's some other stuff, lots of slash chords and things going on in the original. You could play this along with a band if you're all playing in D, but then, you wouldn't be playing the original guitar parts that are on the song. So this is just my adaptation, trying to fill a lot of gaps so I can play it solo. So onto some of the rhythm. So at the top, this is a part that pretty much every band struggles with. It doesn't really matter when you're playing an acoustic, but I will just cover it anyway because it's like when the tune starts, the backbeat seems to be a bit unclear where it is. So the backbeat is on that B note, so that's the note that you need to sort of strike the hardest. So I sort of sometimes start with an upstroke on that just so I can accent that B with a downstroke. Yes, that's just all triplets, triplet, triplet. That's it, and I'm just changing that note to get that sort of rocking backwards and forwards between the A and the B note there. So right there I was doing the opposite way around the chorus, so starting on the downstroke, but it really doesn't matter as long as you're accenting that B. So you want to keep that in mind when you come into the song because it should be something like this. So this is the tricky bit that's going to take a little bit of practice. I just sort of do this stuff quite intuitively now when I'm working out tunes because I'm always, I do a lot of solo gigs, so I try to fit all the rhythm in that I can with my right hand. It's something that, is probably most important to me when I'm playing a new song. It's just like making it like it's going to come across the energy of... the original version. So this is going to take a bit of hard work, but essentially what I'm doing is I'm picking the D, G, and B string of this chord. I'm doing it with these three fingers, and I'm doing it basically in dotted eighths, so it sort of sounds like this. But I'm not really thinking about it like that. I'm kind of naturally doing that in between the backbeats that I'm doing. So I'll play it a bit simpler first because there is some stuff I'm doing with my ring finger on the B string. So I'll play it really slow this time. So. So I'll just show you slowly what I'm doing with the right hand. So before you put the backbeat in, you can practice that kind of dotted eighth thing. So I strongly recommend practicing this with a metronome just so you can keep a grasp of where that downbeat is, and you can practice that part over a metronome. So I'll play the two parts one after the other now. I'll play it first without the backbeat and then I'll put the backbeat in really slowly. So that's what I'm doing in the verses, but also when I'm doing that downbeat, I'm doing a mute with this hand as well. So I'm taking that, so I get that ghost note. Yeah, it's just to give that backbeat a little bit more impact, just to make a little bit more space for that hit. Yeah, so you can sort of get that scratch in there as well right after the backbeat. Like that. And again, all this time, I'm just using those 3 fingers. So it's just all those notes are happening at the same time. So I'm basically just going between the bass and those top notes. Then with both chords. And again, there's nothing in between those 2 chords, we're just going straight with that push. Yeah, it's just that backbeat. So that's what I'm doing in the verse. In the chorus, it's the same thing. I'm just doing exactly the same thing. It's the only thing I can't really do in my version, because it's really, really hard to sing and play at the same time, is that kind of, is that middle section where it's doing this sort of thing. Yeah, so I just play that through straight, the same rhythm I use for everything else. If someone can take this version and do that while they're singing, then please send me a link, because I would love to see it. I will learn to do it at some point, because it'd be a nice touch just to sort of break up the rhythm of the song a little bit. And when I'm playing this solo out of gigs, I basically loop that part. So I just loop that part, and then I'm just like noodling in D major. So, you know, I haven't really got around to learning the whole thing yet, but it's one of the best solos ever recorded, I think, anyway. So I will eventually get it into the song as well. So yeah, I hope that shed some light on my version of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. There's some really tricky stuff in there, but do what you need to do with the video and like slow it down and just go through it slowly, because it is really tricky. It took me a while to get it into the set because it's hard to play with conviction. It takes a fair amount of confidence to be able to do that. It's a really, really hard song to sort of play, unless you're sort of just gonna just strum it out or whatever, that's cool. But you know, I kind of get a bit OCD and obsessive about kind of making it, I don't know, giving it a bit of, you know, conviction when I'm playing, make it come across really strong, closer to the original, because that's what people are used to. So I hope that helped shed some light on some of the things I'm doing in my version of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. As always, if there are any more tutorials that anybody wants on anything else on my channel, well, just guitar stuff in general, then just comment below and I'll do my best to get round to it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.